in the UK, we've got the White Art Collective, represented by Donald Kent,
Mhm.
and
Hello, everybody.
the Patriotic Arts Community, by
Yeah.
myself, the PatrioT, and
Mm.
here we are together
Yes,
across the pond, across the stream. How are you, Donald? How are you doing?
I'm very good. I want to wish everybody a happy New Year, and hopefully everything is going well for all of you guys. We're also live on my end on Donald Kent Art on YouTube. So we took a little time off there, but we're back. And
Yeah.
what's our theme today?
Our theme, as voted by the community, is our blood and our soul. So our blood is our soul,
Our
which is
blood is our
quite a
soul.
powerful theme
So
if you
how did
think
you come
about
up
it.
with that? How did you come up with that theme, Patriarch?
Well, it was voted on by the community, but it was, I think, yeah, I come up with the actual topic, and it was something I touched on in a previous stream, and
Mm-hmm.
it's actually something I kind of came to understand when I was reading my Bible. Um,
Oh,
the word is nepes, I think, and it's the
okay.
same word I noticed for life is used for soul, because it
Hmm.
talks about not eating the blood of an animal because the life is the soul of an animal, and same thing for us as people. We
Yeah.
our blood is our soul, and if you think about our ancestors live on through us, all
Hmm.
of our information gets passed down,
Mm-hmm.
our
Mm-hmm.
traits, our impulses, our
Yeah.
um
Even the world that they built, even the world that they built
uh-huh,
for us.
yeah.
So
And
when
so
I
we're gonna
first, when I let me mention when I first read the theme, I read it too quickly and I thought it said blood and soil. So
yes,
while I
I
was
thought that
preparing,
might come across.
anyway, while I was preparing for the this show, I had that in mind. Like the people in the land are one, and that I think many people in our sphere probably know the term blood and soil, where it comes from, etc. But then, of
Uh-huh.
course, I had a second look at it, and I feel that the themes are very similar in the sense that it's very much about our people and connecting with our ancestors, our kind of
Mm-hmm.
racial family, if you will.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so for the image that I came up with this, I know that it's very hard to see because of the light pencil, but when I in my own personal spiritual practice, I talk to my family who have passed. I pray for them. I
Okay.
communicate with them. I feel very much that they're watching over us, and in a sense, it would be rude to not say hello, and have a sort of continue a relationship with them. And so that thinking really can extend well beyond your parents and your grandparents. So in this image here, I've got this an image of a couple holding a baby. I don't know how well that'll come across with my camera, but and then behind them are just going to be all the spirits of ancestors, of the father's parents and grandparents and great parents, the mother's parents, great parents, da da da. And then in the foreground, I thought it would be interesting to have two sentinels, kind of guards
Okay.
before them. In the background, I have two. Again, it's very light, but it'll come out by the end of the show. Sort of two landscapes on a horizon with water in the middle, and that representing the homeland and the settled land. So for example, England and America in my case. But all of the lands that our peoples have settled. So it kind of
Uh-huh.
shows the it symbolizes the greater diaspora, if you will. And then I have these kind of suns that are passing over the horizon to represent, time passing and the years and the decades and the millennia and etc. That to give a stronger sense of history. And
Okay.
it's sort of,
Awesome.
yeah, it's very symmetrical work. I've discovered that my fine art has really strong graphic design elements to it. I feel that There's something powerful about that. I mean, I do like asymmetrical art, sort of organic art, if you will. But
Okay.
this is just something that's very instinctual for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think being a comic book artist, you tend to focus on thick black lines, and that kind of brings about a
Yeah.
sort of a graphic feel by default, doesn't it?
That is true. Also, storytelling. You know what I mean? I think that narrative is an important element.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the things that we're taking back with what we're doing is that postmodernism, etc., modern art, what have you, they are uh, they kind of removed the storytelling from art tradition, and that's not a good thing. That we this is essentially how we kind of know ourselves and pass down you know the stories of who we are, and etc. So you and I we're making new stories, with our
Yeah.
work, and representing the history that is being erased, or race swapped, or gender swapped, or otherwise demoralized. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, for sure. For my art piece, kind of first idea,
Yeah.
I'm going to focus on. I mean, my artwork tends to focus on statues. I like to take statues, existing artworks, and sculptures from the great kind of the sort of genius sculptors of the marble great statues of our
Mhm.
ancestors, and
Mhm.
I'm going to incorporate them into sort of the DNA strands and molecules. So you've got the kind
Wow.
of the
Nice.
figures, and you've got these sort of DNA sort of waves kind of floating. So it's almost going to be sort of cosmic,
Hmm.
mixed in, infused with statues and elements. And I'm going to do a photo bash. I've just laid out here the composition.
Yeah.
So we've got 5 elements here. So it's the first, which is going to be the focal point. Uh,
Hmm.
this should be the second focal point, and then we've got almost like a sort of a path composition
Yeah.
around, dotted around, and yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I always like to improvise with my art. I know yours is very well planned, being traditional artist. But with being doing digital, you can be more forgiving with mistakes.
No, you're
So
very right. There's a lot of flexibility with digital. You can do things in layers, build things up. There's just so much more kind of editing power, I guess, that you have,
mhm,
which
yeah,
is very, very good. I guess the other thing too is, for me, I don't like to fly blind. Like, I wanna, if I'm coming in doing a show, I sort of wanna have something planned. You know what I'm saying? Um,
yeah. No, I if I was doing traditional art, I'd be exactly the same.
yeah. Yeah. But,
Uh, so I've got my first image in place. Sometimes getting your first image can really help to
right, right.
just
You need
establish the
something,
scene.
right? Something to respond to. Something to
Yeah,
react to. Basically, that's important.
I'm just
Yeah.
going to quickly put the message out so we're live.
So a lot of things to chat about as well. You did a really interesting show recently with Mark Collette. Maybe you can go into that a bit and discuss. I'm going to be a guest on your show on Thursday.
Yes.
Kind of preview that a little bit.
Yeah, so the other stream, 1 second, sorry.
I want to say hello to my guests here. We've got Artebach, we've got Robert Pyle, we've got Hook. It's good to have you guys on the show. And like, anytime you have a question or a comment, feel free to chime in. A lot of other shows do, I forget what it's called, where you pay to ask a question. Um, Something.
Super chats.
Yeah, good timing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't do that. I mean, I should, but I don't. And I really love audience engagement. I think this is something that is extremely important. It's community building. That's a lot of what we are. It's what we're about, what we do. There's so many levels to what we do. We're creating culture. We're in a sense creating a fireplace for a fire for us to sit around and talk and connect on things and have that, as you say, cozy streams. There's a lot of toxicity out there, a lot of negative news. We're in a waterfall, a rain shower of negativity with all the anti-white things happening in the world. So we need somewhere to, take refuge. And the refuge is the community, and the refuge is the culture and the arts. And so from there, we revitalize ourselves. We regain our sense of self, our sense of identity, and reflect that through each other and through the arts. So it's really more than just kind of a cozy stream. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to get to be kind of disheartened with things, and I know that there seems to be a lot of lack of motivation within our circles at the moment. Especially, I felt like that myself last 6 months. But sometimes you just get tired of being tired and sort of downbeat,
Right,
and so
right.
it's like turning 24 now. I'm like, let's just go full force. Let's do it. And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so yeah, I'm so starting out 2 streams as you mentioned before. I've got the gaming stream, which you're going to be a guest of
Right.
on Thursday, and
Excited.
it's a bit more just to be honest. Have you played the game? You said you're not a big gamer.
No, I mean I'm the odd man out a little bit here, but
Yeah.
my son is a massive gamer. He's a big time gamer. So he kind of keeps me in the loop. He educates me, the rest of it. So I'm very much excited. And I've looked at the game you've been playing, or the one you did with Mark Collette.
Mark. Yeah.
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 Excuse me. And so I'm really excited about the topic, the whole AI, robots, the future, all of this stuff. I have things to say about that. I
Yeah.
think we'll save that probably for Thursday. But
Yeah. So I mean, the game is like it's sort of like a dystopian future, and it has a lot of philosophical threads
mm,
throughout. And
hmm
yeah, it's an opportunity to play through a game together with the community. It involves a lot of lateral thinking, and
mm,
it's got a great story behind it, and it's an opportunity to just have real kind of deep discussions on philosophical thoughts and spiritual
yeah,
thoughts and
yeah.
things. And
I like.
you're quite spiritual yourself, and
Mhm,
deep character. So
mhm.
yeah, I thought it'd be really fitting
Thank you.
to have you on.
Excited. I'm excited about it. I also like that. Um, like Mark does a lot of news related things, but there's so much more to Mark. And like having him on your show like that gives him an opportunity, I think, to show more of what he has in his mind. And like he's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
only is he like a brilliant thinker, but he's an eloquent speaker. And this
yeah,
is one of the
sure.
things that's just so enjoyable about listening to him talk. You give him a good topic and man, just let him go, like just get out of his way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so like, and it's just captivating. I can do an English accent, but I can't do a Mark Collette accent, So like, I feel like I got to work on that, but I'd have to be, my IQ would have to be a
I
lot
could give it a bash. I'd have to practice though first.
That one
But
for sure. That one for sure. Especially not to, and hope I hope we wouldn't get angry or anything. It would only be out of love. Love and respect. So
exactly. Just a shout out to 2 comments in the chat. Deb Demos, hello. Mayfair Carpenter and Repair Shop, hello guys. Thank you for tuning in.
yeah, and hello from the other side of the pond.
Yes. So I might, speaking of AI,
Yeah.
now there is a lot of it's so one thing we touched on with Mark in the stream before, he was talking about AI and how it's almost hijacking creativity.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, he's right. And I felt that for myself, I kind of, especially last year, I probably came to rely on it a bit too much. You know, when you didn't find that time, you thought, oh, just utilize a bit of AI, put a few filters over the top,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then that's that. And I mean, you know, it's just one of them. It's a very fine line. But I'm starting to. I think I'm going to go back to my traditional roots of just image manipulation and utilize, you know, just general images.
I want to tell you about a new freelance job that I'm doing. My fans kind of know about it. It's a comic book graphic novel. And I was talking yesterday with the writer, and there's this alien species in the story, and it's very weird. It's kind of like combines all these different animals, and I was having a hard time designing what he had in mind, and so he would send me, images from like paleontology books, and like weird creatures from a million years ago that lived under the sea, this kind of stuff. And it still just wasn't really jiving. And so he finally dropped the description into AI, and it came
Okay.
up with exactly what he wanted, and I was like,
Right.
and I thought, well, okay, that's helpful. It was helpful, but I'm not going to copy that exactly. I'm not going to, I'll be damned
Yeah.
if I'm
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
to use a freaking computer's ideas over my own or something. So I managed to make it even more horrifying, in my final design or whatever, yeah. But I feel like it's a big topic. I'm going to save this for later on Thursday's show. But my research, just quickly on AI, is more along the lines of how it plugs in with transhumanism
Yeah.
and also aliens and UFOs and all the kind of the esoteric side of that field. We're gonna read a comment here. Robert Pyle says, I don't really care for AI art. I used it a couple times to create some memes, but they never really came out the way that I wanted. I feel like that's a whole thing in itself, is like torturing the data, so to speak, as they say, like getting the AI to do 100% what it is you want. I feel in many ways still kind of like a toy. I'm referring specifically to the like graphics they use for graphics. But yeah,
I think.
anyway, I would recommend people check out the show with Mark and you. It's quite good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to utilize a lot of the content as well, sort of slice it up and repackage it, and just really to just try and push and try and reach people on the outside. We're not necessarily, you know, hot topics to do with nationalism, but just to reach out with people and show that, like, we're normal people. We are people that care for our country, our nation, our brothers, sisters, and we're actually probably way more down to earth and rational and sound minded than most of the left, who would dub us as kind
Of course.
you know, hating and hateful and so on. And so it's like, I think striking a chord with people in general and putting ourselves out there. We've got these interests. We enjoy art. We enjoy creativity. We enjoy
Yeah.
and have an affinity for our people and our nation, our culture.
Yeah.
And this is what we stand for.
So it's pretty wild because it's so normal to just, do and be what we are, to do the things we do. There's nothing hateful about it, it's a kind of a media echo chamber that sort of the average person sees through. I would imagine, like, say 30 years ago, if you were doing something like this, or 50 years ago, people wouldn't really be so surprised or whatever. Like, you wouldn't have to feel like you got to really struggle to make a case, or you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah.
it's so strange to me that people feel as if this is, like we're the bad guys or something like that. I feel it's surreal. It's very surreal to me.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, even our ancestors during the war would have been nationalists. Yeah,
Of course, yeah.
they fought for their nation to defend their nation so that it wasn't invaded by foreign people, and they could pass on the nation to their ancestors. I mean, that's what they fought for.
Yeah.
Yet now it's just being given away.
Well,
So
right. Our governments are infiltrated and they're against us. Like they're all tyrants and traitors. That's a whole other
mhm.
topic. But just more on the sort of like the average person conversation level. There's a guy I work out with, I spar martial arts with, and
Okay,
he's I'll be honest, he's biracial, and
yeah,
he's very, very, very liberal. Like he's not super like crazy liberal. He's not a nutcake, but he just has that kind of New York City hipster,
okay,
value set, whatever that is. We're good friends though. We get along well, and we're able to work together, play together, have fun. I know I can't really talk politics with the guy. I'm not gonna like go there because I just realize it's not gonna end well. But
yeah.
at some point, I forget how this came up, but somehow out of nowhere, he just blurted out like very strongly, I'm not like I don't I'm against nationalism essentially. And
Okay.
at the moment, I just instinctively and very quickly followed by saying, but isn't the nation the people? You know what I mean? And it threw him, it kind of gave him a little judo flip, where he wasn't really, he didn't have an answer for that. But
Well, exactly.
yeah, deeper than that though is the topic of whose people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think if like I don't know, there's just one of the discussions in our culture, our field, so to speak, is the topic of biracial people. Who do they identify with? Like that's sort of a big unanswered question I think that we have. But I still feel that it's a valid way to look at it. That I do agree. Like I'm very anti-government, especially now. So if his sentiment was anti-government, I would agree with that. But we aren't governments. We're people. You know what I'm saying? And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's critical that people recognize that and that return to that as well.
Yeah. Well, the nation, a nation is a people. I mean,
Yeah.
if you just think about it, when you extrapolate out from two people, you get a family, small
Hmm.
family. Then you get a tribe. Then you get a sort of a larger tribe. You get a village. You get a
Mm,
town. You
sure.
get a city. You get a nation.
Hmm.
And the nation back, if you take it to the Bible, not to run things down people's throat, but it helps you understand the framework of understanding of the people back then as well. So the
Hmm.
New Testament was written in Greek, and the
Yeah.
word for nation is ethnos, which is essentially an ethnicity.
There you go. There you
Um,
go. Yeah.
ethnos being some people that have a shared heritage, shared culture, shared language
Hmm.
structure, and
Right.
it's them components that really make a nation. So what we have in the UK now is not one nation; it's a cosmos of, sort of mini nations, micronations, just all being put together and
Hmm.
in a geographical region. So
Yeah. Right. Obviously, we know the problems with that. The challenges, etc. But I just I don't know. I feel like this is a key thing for us, and that's also plugs right into the theme of the show that we're doing. You know, is the idea of our extended family.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's it. You, in terms of soul, what is a soul? A soul is, to me, a soul is like the vehicle that you're driving, and the spirit, I guess, then is the consciousness, the awareness behind, or that is driving forward and interacting with that vehicle. So the vehicle is like the hardware. The vehicle is the foundation of attributes, the foundation of sort of blood and the DNA, the raw components that give us our impulses, give us our essential nature.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that's passed down through the blood. A lot of our tendencies, impulses, character, personality is all passed down in the blood.
Mm.
And I think it's the consciousness and the spirit, which is that thing, that conscious element which interacts with the environment, which in turn helps to bring order and control and sort of
Mm-hmm.
you know, it just brings the soul alive. So I'd say the soul is the container and the spirit is that which embodies the container. Does that make sense?
Excuse me. It's very esoteric what you're getting into here. And my excuse me, my view is that I think of the spirit in terms of like the Holy Spirit. It's
Yeah, for sure. I understand that as well. Yeah.
maybe better than me. So, but
Well, that is
so
God's
let's
spirit. Yeah.
let's define spirit. So, you know, the spirit of the people, or the spirit of Christmas, or the spirit of you know, whatever, you know, like that is a different use of the word spirit. So certainly I think that what you're talking about is really where culture comes from, you know, the spirit of a people, and it is in the blood. I think through like in my family alone, it's bizarre, but there are certain personality types that you can say, like Uncle Don has the same personality type as Brother Joe, or Aunt Aunt Betty's personality is the same as Cousin Susie, you know, or whatever. And
Hmm.
then somehow there's like a kind of a family template in a sense where these things come together. And I think that this has also a macrocosm in the sense of a culture. You know, I think that, you know, the English people have a character, and granted, it's diverse in terms, and you have like the whole class warfare thing and all, you know, all that other stuff. But there's something there that is different from, say, the French people, or the Italian people, or the German people. You know,
Yeah.
there might
Yeah.
be similarities, but there's distinct differences. And where does that come from? You know, it has to be like a collective DNA, I would assume. You know, this is a really interesting topic. And I could tell
Yeah.
you a lot of people that would have like a lot of, for example, if Nullis were here, I think he would jam on that quite a lot, you know, and he's Hungarian. And so like he sees life through a Hungarian lens. You know,
Okay.
every conversation somehow circles back to him being Hungarian, you know, which is fine. You know, like I love his pride. I love his sense of, you know, connection to that. And I feel like Americans, especially, I think, have more and more difficulty. We're losing those sort of connections. And that to me is terrifying. It's a horrible thing, you know. Um, so again, that's kind of why we're doing what we're doing with the show, and the culture that we do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I think. I mean, a lot of Europe has become. Um, we've become sort of warm-bedded people anyway. I mean, I know a lot of the French, for example, the Normans helped to
Hmm.
populate a lot of the UK at one point. It's been
Hmm.
populated quite heavily by Celts,
Yeah.
um, and you know. the Danes helped populate a lot of
Oh yeah. I mean, I see a pretty strong connection between the Danes and, you know, actually everyone up in Northern Europe and the English. Like I just feel like there's a real a more clear kinship there. If that makes
Yeah. Hmm.
sense. I would almost say that maybe Italians and Spaniards have a closer kinship as well. And perhaps
Yeah.
that has something to do with like the, you know, kind of evolving in different climates. I think that's a, you know.
Possibly. I mean, there was along the Mediterranean. Uh, yeah, slightly different cultural elements which may help to shape character as well.
Mm. And then of course Eastern Europe is a whole other topic, you know.
Yeah.
Something that I think that we have to recognize with Eastern Europe is how many centuries they've fought Islam and how that has had an impact on who they are. You know, they're different. You know, they're not that they're Eastern Europeans have their own identity in this regard.
Uh-huh.
I think, of course, living under communism in the past 100 years as well had a pretty huge impact as well. Interestingly, I mean, I think maybe you could speak on that with your knowing people from Romania. You know, maybe there's something.
Yes, well, my wife's Romanian. I'm actually in Romania now. You might have heard some of the Romanian adverts actually on Spotify because I'm not quite signed up to for
Huh,
premium yet, which I will do for next week, so there'll be no interruption on the music. But
okay.
yeah, understanding the in some ways have still a bit of a communist mindset to a certain
Yeah.
extent, but in some ways it's helped to preserve a lot of the culture and traditions.
Hmm.
Um, they're very orthodox, which although it was they tried to stamp it out a lot during the communist rule,
Huh.
the people still still maintained a lot of the culture, and they didn't go the way of a hyper individualism whereby they're so
Mhm.
focused on money
Yeah.
and by doing so you become atomized and there's no longer
Mhm.
a sense of community,
Yeah.
like experiencing Christmas here for the first time away from home.
Hmm.
I I mean, I missed the nice traditional English Christmas dinner, but
Sure.
there was a massive feeling of community here. People going round to the neighbours, just
Yeah.
the doors open, welcoming you in, having
Wow.
cakes. Everyone's just baking different types of cakes and
That's
sweets, and
nice.
then the kids
So
are singing carols to each
you
other.
you
And
gained a lot of
it was
weight.
a
It's like
really
you gained a lot
yeah,
of
well,
weight.
I gave myself like a certain threshold, which
Okay.
you know,
Uh, the cake
so
threshold.
the
Okay.
cake threshold,
That's
yeah.
our
But
theme for next week, folks. Okay. That's a joke. Okay.
yeah, so it was a good experience. But like I
Hmm.
say, they've maintained a lot of their traditions because of
Yeah.
you know, not being exposed to a lot of the capitalist mindset. Although
Mhm.
that's starting to change a little bit in some of the main cities that are a bit more established. Uh,
Okay.
but we'll see. They're getting a lot of EU money at the minute, but hopefully that they won't
Well,
go
when
the
you
way
say
that.
they're getting a lot of EU money, what does that mean? Like they have to follow EU's
Well, you know, it's
migration policies or something, or you know, is it a trade-off?
there's a lot of money coming in to help build certain parts of Europe.
Okay.
So it's just you know one of those things. It's like you can see
Mhm.
them saying, "Okay, we give you all this money now. You know, you need to start complying with what we want for your country or nation."
Yeah.
And we've got all of these peoples on your doorstep that need homes. Uh,
It's garbage.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
What are
No.
the Romanians' kind of attitude towards that?
No, they are quite nationalistic,
Yeah.
really. So um,
Okay.
I don't think they. Hopefully, they wouldn't sacrifice themselves. But
Mhm.
you never know. I mean, there's you know, a lot of propaganda that infiltrates the sort of the TVs,
Yeah.
and you see the kids growing up, and you can see traces of you know, micro doses of indoctrination, whereby
Yeah.
they're getting used to you know, multitudes of culture interacting with each other and things, and
Mhm.
then
Mhm.
adverts slowly starting to creep in, although it's not blatant like in the UK, where it's you're lucky to find a white guy now.
It's
um,
disgusting. I mean, it's so obvious. It's so weird that
yeah,
you
it
can't
is
turn on the
odd.
TV and see a single white person in any kind of positive way. I mean,
It's
even
yeah,
like in America, even black people notice it and they're like, "What the hell's going on? This is bizarre."
yeah.
You know, it's like,
I
yeah.
know. I don't know what it is. It's either blatant humiliation tactic, or
Oh yeah.
it's
Oh yeah.
just hyper guilt from uh, leftists in the media who just think, I don't know, they're on hyper mode,
Well,
or
my take on that is that it's an intentional social engineering, and what they're doing is they're engineering whites to
become
erase
angry.
themselves, to not fight, to not see
Possibly,
themselves,
yeah,
and then also it's emboldening people of color to think that white man bad, and like
yeah,
this
yeah,
is our time, and like the crime rate in America, especially among black youth, is higher than it's ever been, and it's literally a culture. I mean, in hip hop, that you get paid more money for like making more violent music, and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
just a reality. And so my view on it is that it's very obvious social engineering. Not everybody seems to be able to see it. Even less people can even talk about it. But now it's becoming like racism is becoming the new hot thing in comedy. And
yeah. I've noticed that, but I mean, to a
yeah.
certain extent, it that can help kind of ease tensions as well. If you can laugh at yourself, which it
Oh
used to
yeah,
be
I
like
mean,
that. It used
right.
to
I
be like you
remember.
could laugh at yourself,
No, dude, I totally
and
remember. There was one. It was quite funny. Just saw it the other day on like Instagram. And you didn't see the comedian. It had some funny graphics, but it was a black comedian who was in Ireland, and he's doing a show, and he happens to be like a huge guy. This looks real mean or whatever, although he's sort of more like a teddy bear kind of person. And
mhm,
some like short, drunk Irish guy came up to him and just started in front of like all these other black bodyguards and such, and said something like, "Oh, I don't know, I don't want to swear on this show, but you can only imagine the words about like, you look like a right something or other,
yeah,
and blah 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 blah," and like it was just crazy that this short drunk Irish guy comes up to this huge black guy who just did the comedy show and just blurts out all this shit. And the the bodyguards are like, they're of course they're from America, so they're like ready to throw down immediately, like go full blast on this guy.
mhm,
And the comedian says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, stop, stop, stop! I speak Irish," and so it was kind of funny. And then he just starts like insulting the guy back, using like racial slurs against Irish, and then the Irish guy laughs his head off, and like they're buddies. So it's
yeah,
it's like, I don't know. I mean, we're being set against each other, and those cases are sort of less and less common, more and more rare. And that, I don't know, from my perspective anyway, the racial tension is off the charts right now.
yeah. It definitely is, and it definitely seems intentional as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's,
100%, 100%. Yeah.
uh,
Actually, I'd be curious. Anybody in the chat have any comments on that? That would be nice to know. Get you guys
yeah. If
engaged.
anyone has any questions,
Yeah.
fire away. Any observations?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, let us know, guys. I'm quite liking how this is shaping up. Um,
Good. Okay, good.
it's still very rough, but I'm getting the foundations there and the ideas coming across. I'll probably add
Yeah.
some text so it's a bit more like a graphic poster. And I need to start applying some gradient filters as well to just make sure it starts to gel together and there's a cohesiveness with color. Yeah.
Cool.
Let's take a look at yours.
All right. I'll zoom. Hold on a sec. I'll enlarge a bit. So,
and what I'll do is I will. I'm going to take a snapshot of this so I can copy that on my stream.
I've got to get it better quality. It seems that my camera is a little just not focused that well, but this isn't. I'll try to describe what's happening here because it's still very early, so it's hard to see things clearly. Again, like in a sense, it's like sculpture. You kind of like chip away at the piece, and you pull it out slowly. But anyway, I have a couple in the foreground in this kind of triangular composition. The female's holding the baby. It's just a kind of a beautiful sentiment here with this kind of loving family. The triangle, of course, has a certain symbolism to it. Here in the background, I'm establishing the spirits of the ancestors, the spirits of the family.
Okay.
I've highlighted the water in white, and I'm actually just about to bring in sort of a light blue for the sky to make it a colorful piece. I feel like the topic is a positive topic, and I want the piece to be somewhat comfy. You know what I mean? Earth tone.
Yeah.
The green and the brown here. The darker brown is going to pop out the foreground when I get to these characters here. So I have a Roman guard, with the kind of the classic helmet and the shield, but also have a World War II German character here with a helmet and a gas mask.
Okay.
I don't want to go too crazy with the symbolism on that. I want to make it a little more palatable, I guess, for
Okay.
cowards. But anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't want to turn this artwork into that subject. You know what I'm saying? But I feel I feel that this, like, the Third Reich, if you will, it shows again the concept of history and time, ancestors, the concept of an imperium, which is really a Roman concept. So all the information's in here. The viewer just has to dig it out. You get my point?
Yeah.
So that's
awesome.
Right now,
I look forward to seeing the finished thing. Do you think you'll get it done in this stream?
I think I could, if I shut up. No. I'll get, basically what'll happen is I'll get most of it done, but then like sometimes with art you need like an hour or a day or something to walk away and come back. And then
I'm determined to get mine to a finished point, because I know we started this stream a while back, but we didn't really kind of establish much structure, did we? And I know I didn't finish many. I finished one, the Kai Morris piece, but I want to get this finished today, and hopefully we can kind of have a nice sort of regular stream of this and wrapped up sort of between sort of an hour and 20 or something like that. I think that'll be a nice length stream. So maybe give ourselves half an hour to really flesh this out. What do you think? Yes. True, I see the comment there. Robert E. Pyle doesn't like to talk too much about. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, and it is in the back of my mind, because you never know. Obviously, it can. Things could get flagged, but
my whole channel's about race. So like, it's not like I don't talk about it, but I think there's a way to talk about it that is more just safer and maybe more palatable, I suppose. I'm not like the Siege guy. I'm not like one of these like tattoos on my face type you know, like that kind of nationalist, if you will.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of the content that I have is very academic, very
Uh-huh.
cultural. Um, Ironically, though, I'm putting together a panel discussion for one of Kaimoros's speeches, which is a speech on hate. And the panel is just two friends from the White Art Collective, Luke Mason and Nullis. Um, we've been kind of discussing how do we approach this without, you know, me losing my YouTube channel, you know, that kind of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
not being fed posty about it as well. You know what I mean? What I'm saying, you know. So we both want to share, or the three of us want to share our thoughts on basically contextualizing this subject before I play the video, the speech by Kai Moros, and
Okay.
just to add my 2 cents on that here, along with the whole critical race theory, diversity, equity, inclusion, Marxism. I mean, that's a whole form of Marxism right there. We're all aware of that. So the anti-hate movement, if you will, is part and parcel of that. You know, you've probably seen, you know, hate has no home here, or all these kind of catchy, you know, stop racism, stop hate, da 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 da. And they don't hate racism; they hate white people. This is not, you know, there's no legal representation for whites. Whites are, yeah, brutalized in criminally on a regular basis. Our countries are being blah blah. You know, I don't need to tell this audience what we're experiencing. And so the message of like stop hate and all this stuff is an anti-white message in a very subtle kind of psychological gaslighting way. You know, like if you complain about blacks in your neighborhood, you're hateful and racist, and we have to stop you. You know, do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm.
So, yeah, that's kind of my angle on the topic right there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is designed to shut down, isn't it? I mean, you think about what it means, hate speech. It's very 1984 Orwell, isn't it? And the fact that's being policed essentially mitigates any opposition of thought, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
um, hate speech. You're not allowed to hate anything. You're not allowed to hate the things that might be opposing you.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, what do you do? I mean, I hate being stabbed in the neck. You know, it's like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate my people being displaced in their own homelands. I
Exactly.
mean,
You nailed it. You
what
nailed
what is it?
it.
How can you not feel a sense of angst against
Totally.
things that
Of course.
are detrimental to your culture and your nation and
Mm-hmm.
our whole, you know, our whole culture is being in jeopardy for the sake of a new emerging culture, which seems to be determined by
Yeah, it's called
people
white
who,
genocide, right? I mean, of course,
yeah,
that's something that we're gonna obviously bring up. That hatred, in a way, could be or is a, what do you call it? It's a natural instinct to protect yourself against things and people that would harm you. You see, so like
yeah, yeah,
taking, I mean, also the concept of like changing human nature or um, disabling people from talking about the things that are harming them. You know, all of this, it's just gaslighting. It's just another form of psychological manipulation. Um, so I think we all know ethically and spiritually, like hatred's obviously a negative thing, but at the same time, there's a very deep conversation in our spheres about um, just like courage and like bringing back that kind of savage. Uh, I
Oh. Hello, there's the stream. Hello, hello, hello. Seem to have lost. Donald. Mr. Donald has lost his sound. Can anyone else hear Donald? Either way, we'll continue until Donald is back. So I'm just going to continue with this artwork for now.
All right, I'm back.
He's back. He's back. What happened?
We thought that the rats were coming in from the underground tunnels to disable Donald Kent and all of this wonderful hate.
That did cross my mind. That did cross my mind.
Yeah, Robert Pyle wrote out here. He said they got him. You know.
Yeah.
John Lennon's last words, by the way. But anyway, let's look at some comments here. Roberts Pyle says, I say all kinds of things on Gab and Odyssey, so I don't want to bring those things here because I can be traced back to things I say. Yeah, I know. It's, you know, my view is they know everything. There's no hiding. There's no, you know, they've got the technology. There's just, you know, you can be careful and you should be careful, but at some point I just kind of let go of caring. Charles, welcome to the community, buddy. It's great to have you here. Says we are fully justified in our position. Yes, strongly.
Definitely are.
So yeah, it's just it is awkward though. Like you know, we don't promote hate, but like if you're feeling justified hatred, like it seems very cruel to try to stop that. I mean, if you know, imagine somebody just got mugged and they're really, really upset, and then you're trying to say like, oh, you know, don't be hateful or something. Like,
yeah, you know, I know what you're saying. I mean,
it's a very cruel way to approach this situation because. You know,
and most of the time, it's not against sort of individuals, so to speak. It's against the situations. It's against what's happening.
Well, there's the saying like, I don't hate so and so. I don't hate you. I hate what you do, and there's a lot. You can get a lot of mileage out of that. Like the idea that, you know, X, you know, like just what I said. But then on the other hand, there's the kind of like the genetic predilection towards violence or all this other stuff. So like there's patterns and you can't really deny those things either. So you do have to take people kind of on a one-by-one basis. But at the same time, those patterns are and the science of like genetics, you can't ignore them either. So it's a really difficult kind of balance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it'll be a challenging discussion if we, you know, when we get that squared off as a show. Yeah. Let's see what you're doing on your artwork here as well. All right, there you are. Can I enlarge you? There you go.
I will zoom in slightly.
Yeah, Charles was talking about victim blaming. This is precisely what I mean, the psychology of gaslighting, of, you know, the narcissist personality disorder of the small hat tribe and how they social engineer anti-whiteism through every means necessary, like everything that they can between academics and entertainment and news, etc. So we have to step up psychologically, socially, and culturally. You know, this is an important thing.
Yeah, we have to do our bit. I mean, it's so easy to just stand by and watch what's happening,
mhm.
and not do anything. But it's that's what
Yeah,
too many people have done for far too long. So
yeah, yeah.
it's to me, it's no longer an option.
Got a comment here from a new fan, Finvara. Welcome to the community here. If they knew everything, I probably wouldn't be a teacher. Huh. I
Yeah,
used to be a teacher. I used to be an art teacher. I taught pretty much K to 12, like every grade. The last couple of years that I taught was in high school, and the high school was a partly owned by Muslims, and then we would get students from the inner city that got kicked out of schools, and then they would get sent to the school where I worked. So it really, I'm not a teacher anymore. I quit the profession. Um, you know,
yeah,
there's like a lot just to say about that, but yeah, that's a whole other world of information.
yeah.
But
I can
being
imagine.
a straight white male in that environment, like I was
What kind of
on. I'm sorry.
what kind of situations did you find yourself getting into
Oh
there?
boy. Okay. Excuse me. So let's think this through. Okay. Every day you have multiple situations. So it's not like one here and one there. No, no. I mean, every single class you got, like say roughly 20 kids, and
Yeah,
there's the whites make up about, I don't know, maybe 15-20%. Muslims make up 30%, and blacks are the majority. After that, there's
really,
there's some Hispanics, some Vietnamese. So that's it. And then like the school hired a black principal. um Essentially it was just like an inside job where they wanted to like fire all the white people and hire black people. And so
wow,
like there was one of the buddies of the principals, a black guy, who was essentially just like a hall monitor. Like he was just a kind of assistant teacher. He just was there. Frankly, he was there that when fights started, he could jump in. He was like kind of, strong guy, and he could like tackle these kids. Because like once you get in high school, these kids are taller than me, and I'm not short. So like they're all this testosterone, all this hip hop culture. You get the idea.
yeah,
Well, during my last year before I left, the principal wanted to hire this hall monitor as the vice principal of the school. I mean,
wow,
this he doesn't even have a college degree, and I mean this is the bullshit that they get away with. And I mean
hmm
these people are in the freaking government, so you can only imagine the bullshit that they're doing, and it's all like the normal, just the norm of that culture and the Muslim culture is how do we scam the system? That's everything. Like Muslims, especially, they have a very different style of being a hustler. Their style of hustler is my friend, I give you special deal. Hey, buddy, we're so close, and I'm gonna, I'll take care of you, you take care of me, and then ha ha ha, and buddy, and then turn around and stab you in the back. Whereas, of course, the African Americans are just straight up like just like hate you to your face, and are very, very aggressive,
hmm
savage in many cases. But and then there's the girls are very inappropriate. They're doing all kinds of stuff where they're trying to manipulate you, sexually, and they're minors, you're an adult. This is another reason why I
wow,
quit, because I'm like, I cannot be in this environment. Eventually something bad is going to happen. If I'm either going to get assaulted or somebody's going to claim something happened, and I'll get in
yeah,
legal
yeah,
trouble. I got to get the fuck out of here. I'm pardon my language, but like it was very, very uncomfortable. Um, one short story here. So the son. Okay, there's like a board in the school, and one of the board members, it's like 3 or 4 people. One is like a black cop. Another was a Muslim guy who is related to another guy that was sent to jail for terrorism.
Okay.
Hello. I mean, this is how intimately connected all these things are.
Right.
So the son of that Muslim guy on the board, he's in 8th grade, and at one point I'm in the hallway and I'm kind of like getting the class from lunch and marching them down to my class, something like this. And the Muslim kid gets in the front of the line and he sort of plays this little game where he pretends like, oh, you've got something on your face, and he reaches his hand up, but then he slaps me.
Really? Wow.
And I'm like,
I know Kung Fu, dude.
what? Well, and here, I mean, I have like 20 years of martial arts. I could literally kill like these people, it's like I could do anything. I'm like high level.
Have you learned sort of like touch points and things like that?
Say that again. I didn't hear you.
Have you learned sort of these touch points? Like in Kill Bill, where you can just press sort of like 3 little points on their body or their neck, and then like 10 seconds later they're gonna collapse.
My teachers do that kind of stuff.
Really?
I started learning that, but it's very super time consuming, and you got to do it every day. And it's a qigong. I don't know if you know what qigong is. It's an energy. You create an electromagnetic pulse from your body and push it into someone else's body through specific acupuncture points. And then that you can knock the person out. You can make their liver shut down. You could do all kinds of things with it. It's very, very deadly. And that's the most secret kind of like ninja type stuff in Kung Fu. But anyway,
yeah, carry on.
Back to the story. So like I'm like, here I am in the hallway. I've got 20 kids. This just happened, and like, what do you do? So, I'm like, okay, well, first thing, I got to get all the students to the classroom because these kids are just wild. They're just animals. And so you got to put them in a cage so that they don't fight the other kids in the hallway, and I'm like, okay, well, that's the first thing. Put that fire out. And then call the principal, say, this kid assaulted me, get him out of here. And then he went on like at least a 1-week out of school suspension, which is like in our world, like, ooh, you got suspended from school. Holy shit, it's the end of the world. From his point of view is, haha, I got a free vacation. Like, I don't give a shit about school. School's a joke because when I get out of here, the Muslim community is going to set me up with a job. I don't have to go to college, and I'll be, and I'm plugging right into that. You get what I'm trying to say here. Like, going to school for Muslims is really just a show for white people to be like, oh yeah, we're following your rules, but they think they own us. That's how they think, and it's disgusting. It's insulting as shit. So like, there was another kid that tried to assault me in other cases, but I used my kung fu in those cases. So when I didn't hurt the kid, but like I showed him and the class, don't try that again.
boss?
Like, yeah, that's it's just ugly. I don't want, I didn't sign up for that. I'm trying to be an art teacher. Like, this is here's a piece by Rembrandt. Anyway, let's look at English Rose. Welcome, English Rose. It's lovely to have you here. She says, our justified angst is invalidated by the narrative, leaving us no option but to acquiesce to anti-white discrimination. Ooh, heavy. That's very powerful. We are coerced into accepting an environment which is to our detriment. So here's my addition to that. Underneath our cooperation with these things, our patience, our going along with, our not complaining about it, our anger is boiling and boiling and boiling and boiling. And my thinking is that, and this isn't, I'm not saying we should do this. I'm saying that you put anybody under a situation like that and they're going to pop eventually. So
yeah,
really what then I believe that's going to happen at some point. I don't know exactly
I
how.
think that's what they want to happen as well.
Really
I think they want
makes sense.
to justify getting this sort of martial law type, full
Yeah.
on. They want to justify being able to take extreme measures on.
Here's the thing: then extreme measures would how do I put this? Like the people would need to reply with extreme measures, and that is exactly what Kai Moros' speech on hate is. He's essentially saying, like, if you don't like use your hate, then we're gonna die. You know what I'm saying? Like he's essentially saying, like, if you don't do revolution, it's over. Like you can't continue to be nice and polite and work through the political system and on and on and on. That's his overall message.
I think another way, a better way, or I would even say a more accurate way to define hate is not necessarily something that you have negative feelings towards without cause, but it's essentially, again, going back to biblical principles of how what I learned from things when you study them. But hate is very linked, so rooted in the word adversary, and so hate is to stand in opposition against something that's adversary to you. So when they say, you're not, you're doing hate speech, it's basically saying you're doing opposition speech. You're
Exactly.
defending yourself against this force that we are setting against you, but you're not allowed to oppose it.
Yeah. You're not allowed to oppose white genocide. That's 100% what it is. You just really elucidated that very well. There's some more comments in the chat. A lot of people that I've met from south of the border tend to be kind of skeezy too. It's a whole other topic. Charles says, in a healthy, homogenous society, these issues wouldn't exist. It's an injustice we are forced with this current state. We deserve to be in our natural flow with our own. That's simply all that is right there. Like that's all that we're asking. And I mean, I would even say that most of our people would be completely fine with like a 90% or even maybe an 80% majority. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at least in places like America, where you have Native Americans and other people that have been here for generations. But as it stands, that's moot. That doesn't even relate because we're facing extinction. Charles says they call it hate when it's nothing of the sort. Ultimately, we just want to be left alone. So, and I strongly agree with that. But I also sort of feel like, you know what? Who the hell are you to tell me what to think and feel? Like and again, it's like making a law about it. We have to. So like in Australia, for example, or is it Australia? I just saw a news clip. I think, no, it's in Germany. The Antifa in Germany are trying to trademark all National Socialist slogans and words and ideas and images. They're trying to trademark them so that in a court of law, they can sue anybody who uses them. You see what I'm saying? I mean,
Wow.
This whole communist push of absolute control over language and thinking is diabolical. It's diabolical.
I mean, what's your thoughts on sort of the Elon Musk thing? Because on one hand, people think, oh, what he's doing for free speech is
I see.
really good,
Yeah.
and then on the other hand, it's like he's controlled opposition, and it's really, I don't know, it's hard to understand.
He's the Joker in the deck right now. Here's the thing I will tell you and our audience is that beware of people that know our talking points, use our talking points without any kind of like they're in power enough to be able to like, you know, they've like Vivek Ramaswamy, for example. Everybody thinks he's the new Trump. No,
Yeah.
he was, his law degree was paid for by George Soros. He's a graduate of the Open Society. He made his millions by scamming the medical industry, harming untold numbers of elderly people. He's a scumbag. Okay, our talking points are what's the word, like ghettoized. They are outside of the mainstream. So when someone running for president in the mainstream starts saying all the things that you and I say, like have been saying for a long time, then
Yeah.
to them he looks, oh my God, this guy's wild, he's amazing, you know. Oh, and look, he's not white, so it's okay, you know, it's okay, we're not racist if we agree with him. You know, it's such a perfect scam. It's such a perfect scam. And I feel like people like Elon Musk he's in a gray area there. Like he's got one foot in that world and one foot in our world. I don't know yet if I trust him.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I
It
think
might,
he's got his own objectives, that's for sure.
right. Well, my number one reason for not trusting him is that he invented Neuralink.
Yes, exactly.
Neuralink is,
And that's why he clearly wants Twitter,
yeah.
isn't it?
It's more, yeah, that's one aspect of it. For people who are not aware, I'll just make it simple. So the deeper, in fact, the deepest level of the New World Order is to merge man with machine, which is called transhumanism. And that is total slavery. Not only is it physical, mental slavery, it's literally spiritual slavery. It will cut off man's biological connection to God. So
Well, you think about our topic today, our blood is our soul.
yes.
Our blood is our DNA, our soul. And if they use these pharmaceuticals, pharmakia, which is actually in Revelation, it talks about the sorcery and the pharmakia that they
There you
use
go.
in the beast system.
Yeah.
It's through this technology that they will essentially make us not human anymore and
Exactly.
capture our souls because they have fully tampered with our blood.
You totally
We
nailed
are
it.
no longer human
You
in its
totally
natural
nailed it.
form.
That's precisely what I'm talking about. Only there's high advanced technologies behind this, and Elon Musk is one of the big guys in there. So how
Yeah.
the hell can I trust this guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, you
So let
have to be
me
skeptical of
read
everyone.
I'm just going to read a comment here. Bodacious, my buddy Bodacious, one of my followers. My sister-in-law was a major overachiever in academic and sports. She wanted to teach urban kids and raise them up. And after her second year, she was totally broken and gave up. I think she has PTSD. This is so like, I mean, I could do a whole series of shows on this topic, to be honest. You know, for starters, the universities are, especially in the education field, they're overrun by feminists, and these feminists, you know, they're like, I don't know how to describe this to you, but like the education system is literally built in America anyway, is built on how to teach black kids, because like they are the most problematic, and like, you know, forget about the high IQ white kid in the corner who needs a good education and could excel if only somebody fucking gave him some attention, you know. You guys are just gonna have to get used to the swearing. I can't, like, I just it's one of the hardest things. Like I can lose 10 pounds, but I can't stop swearing, you know. Anyway, I get passionate about this stuff. So, you know, and I've had professors, you know, when I went to get my certification to teach art, I'm in the class. I'm like one of two male students in the class, and then I went back to school, so it's quite a bit older than most of the 20-year-olds in there. And you could imagine that these professors, these feminist professors, were threatened by me. You know, like, you know, we got to take him down. You know, we're gonna put him in chains, or
Yeah.
we're gonna make him quit the program, or we're gonna do something. You know, And the I forget what it's called, the person who's the head of the department, the chair, I think, I forget what it's called, but this woman had a kind of like a little class where she got us all together and she said, you know, I will teach you in the ways of feminism how to usurp the power from the patriarchy. I mean, these are the words out of her mouth. I'm not
Wow.
exaggerating. And I'm looking around. First of all, I'm extremely awkward. Like, what the hell is going on? This is weird as shit. But then I look at these girls, these 20-year-old girls, and they got this look on their face like, what is wrong with you? You're weird, you know, like you're some kind of weirdo. But if you want to survive and you want to graduate and you want to enter that field, you'd better play ball. You know what I mean? And so you know, then these people are out there getting jobs, and you know, you can kind of take it from there. You know, it's just then the school system's and like saturated with these leftists, basically.
Yeah, I think it's been happening for a long time, and it was right under our noses, and we
Exactly.
didn't really see it.
That's precisely correct. Yeah.
And then when they felt, you know, like it was time, I think it's almost like once they were fully in key positions and control, it was like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
let's start rolling out the doctrines.
You totally nailed it, dude. You totally nailed it. So, and I mean, not, you know, like what, gosh, you know, 10 years later or something, now it's in the news, it's everywhere, it's on Fox News. Conservatives have organizations where they get, you know, money to fight critical race theory and all this stuff. But this stuff has been in the making for a very long time, you know, a very, very long time. And it's not going to go away overnight. You know what I'm saying? There's issues here. And then there's generations of, not generations, but there's, you know, many kids that grew up in this crap and are out there in the world now, you know, like that was their education. That's what happened to them, you know. It's pretty awful. So let me make we got a comment by my dear Sadie, who's one of my followers on my channel. The healthiest German I know has never been to a doctor and eats only organic food. And there you go. So organic foods, my friend. Robert says to Donald, I never taught, but I've seen some of the things you are talking about as a student at school. Okay, so I don't know how old you are, but you know, so for example, I just did a series called Equal Training with an author goes by the name White Student T, and he in his college career he experienced a huge amount of discrimination, anti-white discrimination, and he did everything that one could to figure out how to legally report it, go around it, stop it, etc. And he ended up writing a book about it to teach people, you know, this is what we're facing and you know this is how to fix it, kind of thing. So the series, again, if you want to go on my channel and look up Equal Training, you can find the series on that. We've been sending it out to people. It's just, things are crazy. I think they're so crazy. Here's the thing, my angle on it is that I always try to tell people that it goes back to the Frankfurt School, that it's Jewish Marxism. And like as soon as you tie you say Jewish Marxism, then it's like, oh, shut down. You know, like well, that's what it is. Like if I say, you know, like these are the origins of these things. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It's when you talk about certain topics for so long, it's kind of it almost becomes and even the word cliche has become cliche.
Oh my god.
You know,
well, I mean, I'm burned out with the JQ. Like I finally have recently had this idea that we love to complain about it, and I feel like we have to like love our people more than loving hating them.
I agree. And that's one of the reasons why with the streams, I not want to necessarily focus about. I know we're talking about it today, given the theme especially, and it's hard to avoid sometimes. But just trying to be normal people, show that we've got normal interests, and we like to play games, and just reach out to people in that way, so they can see that we're what we stand for, what we, what makes us tick. We're not threats to society.
Totally.
And so
I'm gonna give you the mic for a second. So I got a little thing I gotta fix in the house here, and I'll be right back. Hang tight.
No worries.
So you're in charge.
Okay, guys. So I appreciate you coming out. I can't quite see who's in the chat, but let's see if my artwork is on stream. Yes, it is. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to talk through this artwork a little bit, or the feminism, the preference for blacks and minorities, ECTC, yes. Yeah, it's hard to fully understand what it's like in America compared to the UK, but and I've not been in school for a long time, but one thing I can tell you is I remember a few months ago I went to visit my old primary school and secondary school. So this is going back 25 years, 30 years to my primary school actually. And I just saw, obviously the staggering difference in how many whites there were compared to non-whites. And then you go up, so you go to the secondary school and it's almost like half and half. And then when the primary school hits, it's like 60-70% non-white.
Yeah, right.
So that's the generational shift, and you think that's only going to get more and more, and yeah, it's quite worrying really. And so in that to a certain extent, with those numbers and figures, it's almost like the institutions have to bend towards the majority there.
Of course. Yeah. So we got a question here from Charles. It's a very, very good question. It says, what's your advice on talking with normies on the issues we face? Thanks for the insights. We want to take that first? Take that question?
Yeah, I'll have a go. I mean, approaching normies, I would say that it's definitely a process of you can't you can't offload everything straight away to people because it's too much to swallow for a start. You need to and it sounds like manipulation or propaganda, but it's not. People have to be ready to connect the dots when they're ready. So you essentially need to feed them a dot, and then a dot, and then another dot, and eventually it's they work things out for themselves. I had a friend I don't really speak to anymore because I think he was too liberal at heart, but he fully understood a lot of the points, and I kind of helped him, showed him some stuff and red pilled him on a lot of stuff, and he connected the dots and he understood it. But sometimes people in their personal lives just like to take that blue pill at the end of the day, and so you feed them the dots slowly and let them connect them, and if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. But you can't just bombard and offload them. And I'd say boomers are nigh on impossible. So
oh boy, they're some of the hardest ones to reach. So this is a case-by-case situation. I think you have to have psychological strategies in place beforehand. And then when you meet the normie or you're talking to the normie, you kind of scale them up, like how ready are they? And then it's like you would not teach let's say a ninth grade lesson to a third grader. You know what I'm saying? But you also wouldn't teach a master's degree lesson to a ninth grader. You know what I mean? So you have to identify where are they, tie it into something that matters to them. I just straight off the top of my head, it was, I don't like going to football games anymore because I can't bring my kid because, like, there's all these black people there that are yelling, and I'm not racist, but they're swearing and then there's fighting, and I just can't do that. I'm like, well, are you aware of that crime statistics or something or other, or so, and then kind of contextualize it so that it's personalized, and that essentially you're showing courage and knowledge about this is showing them like a model of behavior. Oh, it's okay for him to show that, like, he's educated. He's not being mean. He's not using racial slurs. He's talking about statistics. So somebody, even that, they're gonna shut their ears and run away. But again, like I say, it's very, very much case by case. My understanding right now, with, like, as far as I've gone in this, because I do this a lot, I've done this for years, is trying to, like, red pill normies, is that I feel like the core problem is their conformity. If tomorrow Fox News had Jared Taylor on there, or or Joel Davis or Mark Collette or somebody, and was saying, okay, teach us race realism, then all the normies would follow like little sheep. So they don't want to be different. That's what it's all about. And there's a lot of other dimensions to it, but at the heart of it, you can ask them, and this is a good test, is to say, let me ask you something. Would you, if you had a chance to know the absolute truth, but you would lose some of your friends and family because of it, would you still choose to know the absolute truth? And, like, I asked this, I have one memory of doing this to someone very close to me, and she, like, in a nanosecond said, like, I would keep my friends and family. Meaning, like, the fear behind this, like, I don't want to know the truth. I don't want to be different. They're terrified of being ostracized. And that's the difference between the dissident right and the normies, is that we have the courage and the wisdom and the IQ to do this. So we're a small percent, but we're very, very powerful in this regard. And so in the end, it becomes about normalizing race realism. I have all my little things that I know that when somebody throws a punch at me, like, and I don't mean a physical punch, but they say, oh, you're a racist or you're an anti-Semite, I'll say, correction, I'm a race realist. And then, you just, like, pulled the rug out from underneath them. Oh, you're an anti-Semite. Not quite. I'm a counter-Semite, because I don't agree with our government having 50% people who have citizenship in Israel. Would that be okay if they had citizenship in China? Oh, what? And then they have all the cognitive dissonance destroys them. You see what I'm saying? But you see how like quickly I follow up on that. You got to have the confidence to know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? So there you go.
Yeah, you have to be well researched, and know what you're talking about as well. Otherwise, they can use it against you to try and make you look stupid. And they'll take one point, and if you actually not clued up on one thing, and it falls, then generally speaking, people lose trust in all of what you have to say.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Maybe sometimes just point them to people that can articulate themselves better if you don't feel comfortable doing so.
Here's the thing, like, I've been in that kind of situation where it's like, oh, look, I can give you all these links and I can, check out this guy and that guy and da 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 da, but they're not necessarily going to do that. You know what I mean? It's a kind of a culture, like, you would say, want to don't make them feel threatened. Like, make sure that they have a sense of friendship with you and that they're safe in that friendship. You know what I mean? and that you're the guy they go to when they want to say, hey, what do you think about the election, or what do you think about that shooting, or what do you think about the blah blah blah, whatever the thing is, and then you give them the insight and say, yeah, that's not what the news says. It's actually this other thing, and that plugs into a human trafficking or whatever, whatever the thing is that they're talking about. You can expand on it, and the more you do that, they become like us, but in secret. Do you get my point? Like they realize, like, holy shit, I now have the eyes to see what's going on. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they'll come back to you and, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about? So I've got people at work that do this with me. When the election was stolen, that they kind of came out and were like, Don, you seem pretty savvy, pretty, knowledgeable about stuff. What's going on with the government right now? And I happen to, I've got friendships with these people, so I feel comfortable telling them the truth. I don't get too deep in the whole JQ thing. Recently, I was talking to a boomer about politics or something, and specifically China. He was going on about, oh, China's the boogeyman. And I said, yeah, but Israel sold America's military secrets to China. And the look on his face, oh my God, his face just fell off. It just melted.
Really? Wow.
I mean,
Is that true?
it was just like, Israel? Israel did that to us? Like, how could they do that to us? I got to blah, 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 blah. And, and it was, and I wasn't, confrontational. I wasn't trying to be a punk or anything. I was just like, yeah, Israel sold our secrets. That's why they're able to do X, Y, Z. And so there you go. Like it's a lot of it's just context. It's about how you present yourself, make people feel as comfortable as they can. That's, I guess, my primary advice on that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
But
stuff.
those are good questions.
I'm
This is
almost finished here.
looking
I'm
good there,
just
bro. Yeah, you're looking good.
Thank
Can
you.
you
It's
zoom in
not
on
too
your art?
bad.
Can you zoom in on it
Pardon?
so it
I
shows up
can zoom
larger
in.
on?
Yeah. I think the palette's not quite right. I'm not. Yeah. It needs a shift in palette. If anyone's got any suggestions, I'm gonna try and change the filter here
Okay.
because there's not too much left to do.
Yeah.
But it's just
Yeah. Oh, wow.
finding something that I want
Um,
something. I mean, reds may work.
yeah, you don't
Ooh,
want to lose the clarity of the image. Like
yeah,
some of those filters sort of they kill it. They're overblown a bit, I think. But
yeah.
that's
It's
really,
just
go ahead.
it, it's just trying to get it cohesive.
Yeah,
Maybe it
yeah.
needs the levels adjusting. Uh, so the levels can really help to push and pull the darks and
Through the
lights.
contrast, right?
Yeah, maybe that helps a little bit.
I mean, you're the ultimate. You got to decide for yourself. But like, I tend to
Yeah,
like a bit more contrast. Finvara says it needs starker contrast, perhaps deeper shadows. So we're on the same
yeah,
page with that.
yeah. No, I
Um,
agree. It's just sometimes, a lot of the time it needs the overnight test. So you go to sleep, you come back, you have a look, and it's like, what was I thinking? Right,
the
it needs
overnight test. I
this.
love that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're killing me because this is the one show where I'm not done. So like I'm the bad guy now.
Well, I was adamant. Normally, you kind of polish me off. So
So Robert Pyle says, do it in black, gray, and red tones. Now, that is a good test. Like, for example, if you were to like change the mode to black and white just for a
let me
minute.
do. I'm gonna throw a posterized filter on
Okay.
this,
Yeah,
and
posterized is kind of a nice effect.
it can offer something nice.
That's good.
But yeah, okay. What I'll do is I'll give it a so let's take out the hue, so it's just grays. Then let's get the levels adjusted so we can pick out the darks. And so you can get the read, can't you, better in black and white. So in terms of levels, I think that's about right, isn't it? What do you think?
As far as the levels, I would say the levels right there are real nice, but I would bring the color back though.
Yeah, I will do. It helps to so this guy individually, I think
you nailed it, buddy.
Maybe bring his levels up higher. Put a clipping mask there so isolates them levels because he's the main focus. And so yeah.
There you go. Nice contrast there.
Yeah, boom, boom. Yeah. And I had a thought, final thing to do. Okay, so the contrast is about right. The final thing, I want to put like a DNA helix in his chest, kind of with a glow, so it's kind of illuminating.
Nice, nice.
Really polish it off.
I feel like my piece is finally starting to take some shape. The camera doesn't really get it all. I haven't done the German character yet, but at least the concept of it, I think, is coming across. I've got these two sentinels in the foreground. Obviously,
can you center it? I'm just going to do a snapshot, and then I can put it on the stream. Next week, what I'm going to do is, yeah, there we are. Next week, because I'm still kind of getting used to this streaming, I'm using Streamlabs.
Yeah.
But and yeah, I've got it on my screen now. So anyone watching on my stream can see.
Okay.
So yeah, you've got the Roman soldier in the front there.
Right, and the sort of glowing ghost-like figures in the background are the ancestors, the family. Because we're, again, that from my perspective, their spirits, their souls exist, and they are watching us. They are hoping for, they're suffering with us. They're hoping for the best. They're doing what they can on their side in their dimension to do whatever it is that they can. I happen to be extremely, I don't know what the word is for this, but I'm very well connected to the spirits in my life. And so, yeah, it's not something I talk about in depth, but I'll just say that this is something I stand behind, you know, and that I feel that we need to have more, we need to talk more about not ancestor worship, but like some sort of ancestral rituals that kind of reconnect us to that and that tap into that power as well. I feel like that would be
like ancient Greece used to have so many carvings of well, their own image. It's
right.
Getting things in your own image and likeness is, I think that's a godly thing.
Okay, in Rome, they had, I mean, this word ancestor worship is what's like the norm, but you're not worshiping your ancestors. You know, there's no worship involved, but like that just seems to be like the term that exists. Anyway, it was a thing in ancient Rome to spend a lot of money to have a bust done of like your grandfather or something, or they did the death masks where they would use plaster and have like, you know, the mask of the etc. And I feel like it's a very indigenous thing to do in Asia. That's a huge part of their culture. I feel like it's just a very natural thing to do. So I feel like maybe that could be a subject for discussion at some point, but
maybe it could be an art subject at some point.
Certainly, yeah, hugely
for another day.
Hugely. Well, I feel like it's great that one of us got done within the show, and this looks fabulous. Your work looks gorgeous. I want to thank everybody in the chat who's joined us and had really good questions, got us involved in some really deep discussion, and you guys have interesting points to bring to the table too. So that's what the community is about, guys, you know, is us interacting with each other. And we need that. We don't really have it anywhere or everywhere. So like this is a place where you can do that. Any announcements? Thursday, this Thursday on PatriArt's channel. I will be the guest on his show, and maybe Paul, you want to discuss that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I've started a new gaming stream, and I'm going through a game called the Talos Principle. It's an awesome game. It's a first-person puzzle-based game. So you go around a bit like Portal, if you played them. So you go around and you navigate your way through, and it's very Eurocentric themes and environments and landscapes, and philosophical sort of undertones and threads. And it's a very chilled game. So we're going to play out the story, do some puzzles together, and then I'm going to ask Donald some very sort of philosophical and deep questions to learn a bit more about himself, and
I hope I'm smart
maybe
enough for this show.
well, yeah, it's a different experience, maybe, and a different side to you that people haven't seen or heard.
Cool.
So that's on Thursday, same time, 6 p.m. GMT, and yeah, so tune in for that, and yeah, I'll have this artwork finished and a faster time-lapse version of this artwork as well, if you want to follow my channel there.
Beautiful. Awesome sauce. Well, it's so great to have you guys in the chat, and everybody who watches the show, please stay tuned. We do this on Tuesdays. Are we going to stick to around this time, you think?
Yes, 6 p.m. GMT, which is, I believe, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Beauty.
Yeah.
So yeah, please tell your friends, share the stream, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay positive. You know, we're gonna win. It's our people have been through really hard times before, and we're gonna get through this as well. So I want to say God bless you all. We love you, and we shall. Vardabach is quickly asking, where is your channel? What?
My channel. Yeah, so you'll be able to find me on YouTube, Patriotic, the PatriArt, or if you want to join the Telegram channel, it's Patriotic Arts Community.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, you should be able to find me on most social media, but maybe there's a link in Donald Kent's description of this stream. I'm not sure. But,
well, I'm guilty of wrong think, and YouTube has punished me by not allowing me to put links in my show notes. No, I'm a bad boy. But
yeah, find me. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, just you should be able to find me if you type in the PatriArt, PatriArt.
It's on screen.
And yeah.
Right.
And awesome. Well, thanks, and I hope you guys tune in, and if not, I hope you to see you guys supporting next week as well for more Patriotic Art Live.
Beauty. Okay, guys, take care. We'll see you next time.